Some stars are easy to crush on. Perfect smile, flawless skin, that do you even know you're gorgeous energy. But sometimes they do more than make us swoon. They make us feel safe, seen, like maybe we belong too. In this episode of Rainbow Spotlight, we're counting down 5 moments when fans realized this guy isn't just hot, he's family. Whether they came out, played queer characters with care, or simply showed up with realness and softness, we saw ourselves in them. They weren't trying to be icons. They just were. By existing, by listening, by feeling, they earned more than thirst. They earned trust. Who's the one that made you feel held without saying a word? Drop a 1 to 5 in the comments. We're reading every story. Joshua Bassett, the soft-spoken star who let us in. Joshua Bassett had everything it takes to be the internet's next heartthrob. Disney Channel fame, a perfectly tousled haircut, a guitar, and that classic sings like he's whispering straight to your soul energy. For a while, that's all the world saw. A pretty boy in the spotlight, just another leading man for girls to fall in love with. But in 2021, something shifted. During a casual interview, Joshua offhandedly complimented Harry Styles, calling him hot. The moment was sweet, light, maybe even a little flirty. But for fans who were paying attention, it felt like more. The internet picked it up, ran wild, and began questioning his sexuality like it was breaking news. Then came his response. Not defensive, not rehearsed, but quietly brave. Even if there are consequences, I would much rather deal with consequences and live my truth than live in fear. Just like that, everything changed. Joshua didn't announce a specific label. He didn't write a long coming out post. He simply told the truth, that he was figuring it out, that he wasn't straight, and that he was done hiding it. It was messy, vulnerable, real, and it resonated deeply with a generation raised on rigid boxes and forced clarity. Fans didn't just hear him, they felt him. Because behind the boyish charm and magazine covers was a kid who had clearly carried the weight of expectation too long. A boy who looked like the ones who bullied us in school, but acted like the friend who'd check on you after. He didn't capitalize on his coming out. He didn't rainbowfy his brand or pivot into queer baiting. He just kept being himself. Messy, soft-spoken, spiritual, honest. He sang about heartbreak with pronouns left open. He talked about healing, about God, about queerness, about not having all the answers. And that's when something deeper happened. He stopped being a crush and became comfort. A reminder that queerness doesn't have to be loud to be valid, that it can look like quiet growth, like soft rebellion, like kindness. In a world that often demands certainty and performance, Joshua offered something different: fluidity, grace, and the permission to be in progress. Fans didn't claim him because he was hot, though let's be honest, that didn't hurt. They claimed him because he was human, because his softness made space for theirs. Drop a 1 if Joshua ever made you feel like you didn't need to figure it all out right now, and drop a if his gentle honesty helped you breathe easier. Troye Sivan, the pop star who made queerness feel like home. Before Troye Sivan was dancing half-naked in a puddle of glitter, he was just a soft-voiced YouTuber, singing covers in his bedroom with the kind of gentleness that made you lean in. He was awkward, sweet, always just a little unsure of what to do with his hands. And somehow that made him magnetic. When Troye came out publicly in 2013, it wasn't through a headline or a photo shoot. It was through a quiet YouTube video, spoken like a conversation with a friend. No dramatic music, no carefully lit confessional, just truth. And in that moment, thousands, millions of queer kids exhaled. Because here was someone who looked like them, talked like them, had doubts like them, and was still choosing to be real. It wasn't loud, it was soft. And that's what made it powerful. But Troye didn't stop there. He took that softness and elevated it. Through his music, songs like Youth, Heaven, The Good Side, and later Rush, He built a world where queerness could be poetic, sensual, sad, euphoric, or messy. He gave us love songs with he/him pronouns, not as a statement, but as a given. He normalized it, then glamorized it, then humanized it all over again. There was a moment during one of his live shows when he paused mid-performance, looked out at the crowd and said, "I used to be afraid of being gay. Now I'm on stage singing love songs to boys and you're all screaming them with me." That moment? That's when fans realized Troye wasn't just hot. He was home. He wasn't trying to shock anyone. He wasn't pushing boundaries for the sake of rebellion. He was simply telling queer stories, his stories, with elegance, honesty, and a kind of intimacy that felt almost sacred. And that intimacy made people feel safe, seen, soft again. In a culture that often values loudness and extremes, Troye carved space for those of us who feel things deeply but quietly, who love gently, who don't always have the words but find them in music. Today, Troye Sivan is a global icon. But more than that, he's ours. A reminder that queerness doesn't have to be shouted to be valid. Sometimes it's sung, whispered, held like a secret between friends. Drop a 3 if Troye ever got you through something you didn't even know you were feeling. And drop A if the good side still ruins you in the best way. Michael Cimino, the straight actor who got it so right, we claimed him anyway. When Michael Cimino landed the lead role in Love, Victor, the internet raised an eyebrow. A straight actor? Playing a closeted gay teen? On a show that meant everything to young LGBTQ plus audiences? Yeah, we were skeptical. But then the show aired, and Michael didn't just act. He listened. He understood. He carried the weight of Victor's journey with a level of tenderness, care, and quiet power that shocked everyone. Suddenly the question wasn't, is he really straight? It was, how is he making me feel this scene? Michael didn't play Victor as a stereotype. He didn't overperform queerness or lean into tropes. He gave us a character who was confused, scared, soft-spoken, and full of heart. He showed what it looks like to explore identity without shame or certainty. He showed us ourselves, and he did it with grace. But what made fans truly embrace Michael as family was how he handled the role off-screen. He never treated it like just another gig. In interviews, he consistently spoke with empathy and humility, saying, "I knew this character meant a lot to people. So I wanted to do it right. And I talked to a lot of queer friends to help me understand what this really feels like." He posted about LGBTQ plus rights, wore pride colors without fanfare, called out trolls who attacked him for playing gay. And when some people accused him of stealing a queer role, he didn't get defensive. He acknowledged the importance of the conversation and made space for it. That's rare. And fans noticed. Because in a time when allyship can feel shallow, Michael made his feel lived in. Not loud, not perfect, just present. He never tried to make himself the hero of the story. He just told it honestly and stood with the people it mattered to. And through that, he became more than a pretty face on a queer show. He became someone who got it, someone who made space, who held the role with care, and who let the story be bigger than him. For many queer viewers, especially those still figuring things out, Victor's story offered comfort. And Michael made sure that comfort felt real, not manufactured. That's why fans didn't just accept him. We claimed him. Sometimes family isn't about labels. Sometimes it's about the way someone shows up, again and again, with their heart open. Drop a 5 if Michael ever made you feel understood from the outside in. And drop a yellow heart if you believe allyship can be soft, quiet, and still life-changing. Chris Olsen, the TikTok king who turned humor into healing. If you've ever scrolled TikTok at 2 a.m. and found yourself laughing at a guy delivering coffee in slow motion to dramatic music, you've probably already fallen a little in love with Chris Olsen. At first glance, Chris is what the internet loves. Charming, funny, gorgeous jawline, great hair, The kind of guy who could have easily coasted on thirst traps and cheeky lip syncs. And honestly, we wouldn't have blamed him. But what made fans stay, what made him family, wasn't the coffee runs or the perfect angles. It was his radical honesty, emotional vulnerability, and the way he turned TikTok into a place that felt like home for queer people. Chris came out publicly years ago, but his content didn't just revolve around being gay, it was about being human while queer. From sharing stories of heartbreak, yes, the breakup with Ian Paget hit all of us, to opening up about his mental health, therapy, and even childhood trauma, Chris used his platform like a mirror, not to reflect perfection, but to reflect truth. There was a moment when he posted a video crying after therapy, talking about how healing isn't linear. No music, no punchline, just realness. And the comments flooded in like a hug. People saying, "I needed this," or "You made me feel less alone." That's when it clicked for so many fans. Chris wasn't just a creator, he was community. He also brought queer joy into the mainstream, with no apology. From dancing in crop tops to fake fighting with Meghan Trainor to thirst trapping in the silliest ways possible, Chris proved that gay content can be light, funny, sexy, and safe, all at once. He didn't try to be an activist, but he is in the most everyday, beautiful way. Every time he shows up authentically, he's reminding queer kids and adults that softness is strong, that vulnerability isn't weakness, that we're allowed to laugh through the healing. And it's that duality, chaotic joy meets emotional depth, that makes him unforgettable. Chris is the gay best friend you've never met but feel like you've known forever. He's the guy you want in your corner on your worst day and your messiest night out. He's family, not because he told us so, but because he made us feel like we belonged. Drop a 2 if Chris has ever made your day better without even trying. And drop a if you've watched at least one of his coffee deliveries and whispered, "I needed that." Rickey Thompson, the loudest voice with the deepest heart. Rickey Thompson doesn't whisper. He yells. He stomps. He dances like the camera is a stage and the world owes him attention. He's all caps, all the time, and the internet loves him for it. At first, Rickey went viral for his rants. Those sassy, rapid-fire, drag-you-to-your-core monologues delivered while strutting down the street in flawless outfits. People shared them for the laughs, the read-you-for-filth energy, the pure drama. But somewhere between the punchlines, fans started to realize this isn't just comedy. This is therapy. Because Rickey wasn't just roasting exes and fake friends. He was speaking the pain and rage so many queer people bottle up just to survive. From being bullied in school, to feeling too much, to growing up black and gay in spaces that tried to shrink him, Rickey turned every wound into a weapon of joy. And when he laughed, we laughed too. But when he paused, when the voice dropped and the smile softened, that's when he truly broke through. In interviews, on his podcast, even in tweets, Rickey has opened up about loneliness, rejection, imposter syndrome, and healing. He talks about how long it took to like himself, not just perform confidence. He talks about reclaiming words, reclaiming style, reclaiming space, and somehow, through all the noise, he makes everyone feel like they belong in the room. He's flamboyant, yes, but never fake. His loudness is not performance, it's protest, a refusal to shrink, a daily act of survival dressed in glitter and good lighting. There was a moment when he posted a TikTok simply saying, "To every gay kid who's ever been called too loud, too dramatic, too much, you were never the problem." It wasn't funny, it wasn't flashy, it was real, and thousands of people cried in the comments. That's the moment Rickey stopped being a meme and became family. He's the cousin who hypes you up, the best friend who makes you laugh through your breakdown, the voice in your head telling you to get up and slay when you'd rather stay in bed. Rickey Thompson didn't ask to be a queer icon. He just survived out loud. And in doing so, he gave us all permission to be loud too. Drop a 4 if Rickey ever made you laugh so hard you forgot you were hurting. And drop a if his voice lives in your head rent-free and pays in glitter. Not every queer icon arrives with a headline or a coming out post. Sometimes it's just a moment, a glance, a truth too soft to be shouted. In this episode of Rainbow Spotlight, we're sharing 5 heartfelt moments when fans looked past the perfect hair and pretty smiles and saw someone real, someone who made them feel seen. From Joshua Bassett's quiet bravery to Chris Olsen's healing chaos, to Michael Cimino's surprising allyship, these stars turned crushes into comfort. Whether they came out or simply held space for queerness, each one reminded us that being family isn't about labels. It's about presence. This isn't a thirst trap list. This is about emotional safety, representation, and the soft power of saying, "Hey, I get it." Who made you feel held without even trying? Drop your 1 to 5 in the comments. We're reading everything. Subscribe for more untold LGBTQ+ stories, only on Rainbow Spotlight.